Just start it. Oh,
It does it automatically.
all right. Hello, everybody. We've got people coming in, but we have one of our, we think we've got one of our panelists trapped in the waiting room. So we're going to see if she shows up. People are flying in now. Do we see Lynda in there?
Not yet. I'm looking.
We may have to have her register again. We're having just a little chit chat here.
I saw her face. It's my name,
there?
but it's her face.
Okay, is she in?
I'm here.
Hi, Lynda. Sorry.
No link. No link, and I'm like panicking. I put my dogs in the other room. They're locked up.
Before we get started, could you just change your name?
Yeah,
there we go. Okay, good. All right. So I think we are almost ready here.
Look at Kelly branding out in QuickBooks shirt.
It's my uniform. I have a different vendor shirt on every day.
That's hilarious. Yeah, if I could have a little boutique for all of my
I think you gave me this shirt.
I was gonna say I have the same shirt. I think you gave it to me.
Does it say "Ask Me About"? Is on the back.
Yep.
They ask me about QuickBooks. Yeah, that's the best one. So we're just getting started, everybody. Here we're just chatting as we let everybody in. We will start at on the arrow start in about another minute. So we're glad to see everybody here today, and we think this is going to be. I'm hoping this is really fun for you all.
Yeah.
So can you just confirm that you can see my? Can you just confirm that you can see my my slide?
Yep, we can.
Yes.
Great. All right. And we've got some chat coming in. Let's check the chat. Everybody can see it. That's great. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. Oops, I've got a. Why do I have an echo? What just happened there? Can you guys hear me okay?
No,
okay. Perfect. I just suddenly heard myself come back at me and I was like, uh-oh, what are we going to do here? All right. So you can tell that this is going to be a fun webinar and that we are not going to take ourselves too seriously today. We're going to have a good time. But the topic is a serious topic. We're just going to bring it to light in hopefully a very interesting and joyous way. And so I want to thank Dave, Kelly, and Lynda for joining me today. On the back end, I have Kelly help. Sorry, Kelly. I was looking at Kelly. I have Kelly here to help. She's on the front end. I have Katie from Liscio helping, and also Ardell from the Scaling New Heights team. So that's our team today. Please use the chat or the question and answer panel if you have any questions or you want to make comments, because this will be very interactive. Now, this is going to be an amazing webinar if you come away with these things. It's mainly a feeling that we want to inspire you. We want to ensure that you understand that you're absolutely not alone. I already mentioned laughing, super important. But we want you to actually commit yourself to having a good day every day. You deserve this. And we've come out of a tough time. We're going to talk about that in a minute as a team here, the four of us. But our goal is to give you concrete tips, next steps, and some real power moves that you can use. And of course, get pumped for Scaling New Heights. Now, I just want to check in with Dave, Kelly, and Lynda. Did I miss anything here? Do we need to add anything to this list? Does this feel kind of directionally right for what we want to cover today?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially like I just put in the chat, is this anybody's first conference? I remember wanting to go to conferences for like 4 or 5 years and never doing it. And like, should I spend the money? Should I not? And then being blown away by my first QuickBooks Connect. And then my first scaling was just as phenomenal. So right. I'm glad everybody's here. And if you're nervous about it, and I traveled alone and I did it all by myself. That was really scary. I'd never done that before, but it was so worth it. So hopefully everybody will get a lot of good out of this webinar.
It's one of my favorite conferences that we go to every year. Yeah.
I agree. It's just a lot of fun. And, like Lynda said, if you're going by yourself, don't be worried. We all want you to join.
Yeah. We want you to join.
Yeah.
And you'll actually know us. You'll actually have some faces that you could know. Yeah. So I want to first of all and just explain that. I mean, I'm sure I don't have to explain to all of you that we've all had a tough couple of years. We've had to adjust to so many things. We've had a new way of working. We have clients that we're now working with. If we weren't working with them remotely before, we are now. Even if they're just across town, we may not see them. We have had a barrage of things that have come onto us from the PPP, the ERC, the EIDL loans. We're still working through, many of us, the challenges there. So I just encourage Dave, Kelly, or Lynda to add a little color to this. What have you found has been really kind of tough in the past few years?
Oh, go ahead. What order are we going?
Any order you want. Kelly, let's go with you.
I think that it was hard to see some of my clients close down, for sure. Just the businesses that they were in and the economy not being able to support that with all of us being at home. And I think in a good way, the way that we work together changed a little bit. So communication, used to be more of a hybrid. Sometimes it was email, sometimes we were in person, sometimes it was on the phone. But being able to set a more concrete way of connecting, because now we were slipping it in between, when are the kids at school? When is my dog at the sitter? Or, when is she not barking at the doorbell ringing? Stuff like that. Also, I guess to me, that was an improvement. So being able to communicate with my clients made it a little bit stronger. And I think some of the vulnerability on both sides was, I guess in a way more personal, but, being able to see each other's struggles just made those relationships stronger.
Mm-hmm. Dave, has that been similar for you? Or you've been nodding? Is there a difference or similarity there for you?
I agree with Kelly wholeheartedly. It's sad to see some of our clients that had to close their doors. It was exciting to see the ones that held on and even thrived. And I think that, when I look at some of the struggles that my firm had with our clients is what do you do with the communication? Now we're all the time everywhere, but I can't see you in person because, of whatever reason. And I think then that's where, Lisio came into play with the extreme communication back and forth that now the customer's like, oh, this is so much better than email. This is so much better than everything let's not go backwards, Dave. Let's keep moving forward with more Lisio stuff. So that part is the exciting part for me.
Yeah, the moving forward for everybody, I think, has been important. Yeah, Lynda, you have a particularly niche or niche, however people want to say it, practice where you deal pretty much just with lawyers. So did you find many of them going out of business, or was it mainly a communications issue with them?
It was communication for sure, because for us, it was, that niche was pretty, it was really kind of not affected so much, a little bit because courts were closed. But I think it helped us we were already, using Lisio for communication, and we already had some of those things in place. And it was kind of funny that a lot of them came to us for advice on how to get things set up and how to do things on their end, because they just did all this with us. And we were kind of considered the experts in technology because they weren't used to doing this. Like, you guys have this already figured out. So what do we do here? We had a client that just bought the camera right before COVID hit, and they actually got it because, remember, there was a camera shortage for a bit and you couldn't get a camera. And they were like, they got the camera. Yeah.
Zoom. If you didn't have one, you were kind of like having to hunch in front of your laptop, you were right?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Our industry, oddly, you would think they're so proactive being professionals, but they were really rusty on the technology side. And I think that this kind of helped it bring it here. But when you write here, it's a tough few years. I think the toughest part, I think this is why the in-person conferences are going to get you through it.
So important.
It's missing the hugs and the connections with humans, just to be in a space with humans, I think is going to be so important.
Yeah, and sharing all of it and being able to come and speak your truth.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not going to say anything at this conference that other people haven't been through, right? Yeah. And so that's the tone. I wanted to just kind of get this out of the way. This webinar is not a bummer. Okay, it's basically we want to But we do want to also think about things that you're going to want to learn and how to do better. And so this is where we're going to shift a little bit into your practice, having that practice that you really want. Now, some of you do, some of you have achieved this, and I'm hoping that you will share what you know with your peers, and especially at Scaling New Heights. Because the whole thing about Scaling New Heights and the whole concept of it's Thrive. What we want to do as a team, a collective group of humans that are all coming together after a tough couple of years, we want to help each other thrive.
Yeah.
And you're not going to find a more generous group of people. And I chose this graphic here, You Are Important. And it is very, very important for you to understand that there is no firm without you. Like you, in many cases, you are your firm. Some of you have teams, all of you have clients, but some of these things I was hoping we could have our sort of experts chat through. So Dave, I know one of the things that you had mentioned was when you were sort of first starting out that you have a concierge firm, so you do a lot of things for your clients, a lot of really special things for your clients. You felt like you just weren't in control.
Yes, I ultimately, I was all over the place. I felt like I needed to be in every type of communication avenue on every social media, and I had to be available 24/7 to everyone. And as you can imagine, that took its drain on me on day one. And, then it was amazing, and, at Scaling New Heights and prior to meet the Listio team and understand what Listio could do for me. It took like overnight relief, not only for myself, my team, but also my clients. Like I said earlier, the clients are so excited that they can do what they want to do when they want to do it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the time zone, doesn't matter the time of day. They know I'm going to get it, and they know I'm going to respond as soon as I can.
Yeah.
And I think for me, not feeling that out of control, it's all here. It's all in the most important program my company uses, Listio.
Yeah, we I love, by the way, we didn't pay Dave to put this these plugs in. We're really focusing on the challenges that people are having, but these challenges are universal, right?
Yes.
If you have this octopus of things happening, you can't have a good day. And Kelly,
Yeah.
your thing was more an issue of sort of giving your clients a place to sort of look for things, right?
Yeah.
Where they could feel in control. And then
It's-
we're going to get deeper into that because we've got a slide for each of you with your top tips. But can you just talk about like your clients' experience, because they had a shift in moving in the pandemic as well, right? They couldn't just stop and come to you anymore, right?
Right.
Or
So
meet with you in person.
Right. So I think a lot of it is, and I think we all know it's the emails of, can you send me this report? Can you send me this my tax return? I don't even do taxes, but at some point they had sent it to me. And so it became my responsibility to send it back to them. And so we needed to get into the habit of saying, hey, all of your stuff is in one place. This is where it lives.
Yeah.
This is where it will always live. Please save this link. I have a link to Listio on my website so that they can log in. So it's all you have to remember is totally booked, and it will get you there. But it was the responsibility of all those things. So then I'm going through on my side, what file folders did I put that in? Did I save that thing? Did I attach it somewhere? Is it in QuickBooks? I don't know what I did with each and every one of them. And so I need a home for these things. And so that's where Listio came into play. I do feel like now I don't want to make it a Listio commercial.
Yeah, we got to stop. Yeah, we got to, but we want to focus on the challenges and things so that people understand what
it was giving a central place, giving them a central place. And I always say, I call it their financial home. So giving them in there, they also have a document that links out to QuickBooks and any of the apps that we're using. So whether that's, Veeam, Bookkeep, Sender, all the apps that I use for e-commerce, that's all in there. So they just have to remember, just get to my website. It will get them to Listio, and that will get them to all of the things that they.
And the idea is just helping them manage their day and helping them get the things that they need. Yeah. And Lynda, you had a little bit of a different issue because your lawyers are like in court. They're like, they needed a way to communicate with you that wasn't like always sending them back to your office, to their office.
Yeah, they would, in the past, they would call the office if they need to look something up, and
Yeah.
with the way we have it set up now, they can actually look in the thread, or we actually set it up now with certain topics. So monthly we have to do a specific set of financial reports for the attorneys. So we actually start threads with certain names, and we try to keep questions on the month as we're going through under one certain heading. So it's very organized. And then of course we have tagging, and I have the best story. I know you don't want it to be a Listio commercial, but I had a client.
Well, let's talk about tagging, because tagging is interesting. Tagging is an interesting.
Well, this is the thing though, but I had a client that just recently deleted his Google Drive by accident. I guess because Google changed things, and he lost this really important document, and he sends me a message like any other, all our communication goes through it. And I'm like, it's right in here in the file. I put it in the file. I try to keep everything in there. And he's like, I was like the savior, because I saved this long trust document that he had over multiple years since 2010. And I gave it back to him, and he put it back in his drive. So yeah, that's a success story for sure. But yeah, I mean, you have here like too many things coming at you. And I remember when we were using Slack, and the texting part is interesting because a lot of attorneys like to use texting because they're in court. It's simple. It's very quick to do, and you can text. So I can text through my system, using my, using Listio, using my product to text them messages, but then they're still there. So tagging for sure. I tag documents. We have set tags that we use. I'm fortunate because I get to be in this niche. I get to select, we have our set, everything's kind of preset, which is the best part about niching. And then we use it over and over and over again for all the clients.
Yeah, the organizing of things. So whatever system that you're using, it needs to kind of tick all these boxes, doesn't it? It needs to help you get organized. It needs to help you feel you're in control. You need to meet the needs of your different clients and things. Yeah. But is there anything, I just want to quickly look in the chat, is there anything that's sort of, anything that is jumping out that we have missed about some challenges people are having? Maybe retention issues, helping your clients feel like they, maybe you're losing staff or losing clients. I don't know that the three of you have experienced any of that. Have you?
Staff being out sick with COVID has been an issue, but we've easily been able to shuffle and move somebody over. Things are very time sensitive, right? When you do accounting, that first 2 weeks of the month, it's like, and then I was easily able to add somebody off of one team and move them over. So that way they could see everything that was going on. They could get themselves up to speed, because you don't know how long somebody's going to be out sick. And
so that continuity, so making sure that whatever system you choose is going to allow that visibility between team members.
Yeah, and Lynda, that you said it exactly. Team members out with COVID. Personally, I was out in the beginning of April, and I was out for the whole month. What a month to be out of your office.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
In April.
And you were actually quite sick too, weren't you, Dave? Like it really hit you. It wasn't nothing, was it?
No,
it was definitely not nothing.
And it was not fun. And I think, again, I'm the Listio commercial for everyone, but without Listio, I don't think my team would have happened. I don't think we would have got back to my clients, but I can tell you that I went to sleep in the middle of the afternoon because that's all I could do, knowing that my clients were taken care of, knowing that I didn't miss anything.
The continuity and that visibility is very important, isn't it? Because if you not to put like fear into people's heads, but if one of your key staff leaves and they take all that knowledge with them, like that is the problem with email, isn't it? Is that if you can save someone's emails, right? You can save someone's emails when they leave. It can still be on your server, or you can still have access to their Google or their Outlook, whatever. But how are you going to figure out where something is if the answer is trapped in email? Yeah. Right. So now we're going to kick into the different, we've got, I kind of I flipped the order of this. I instead of putting you guys at the beginning, most people know you, but I now wanted to show who you are and what companies you're at. And most importantly, I want to invite the audience to be part of the experts as well. So Katie, I'm going to ask you to be a vocal participant here. And when comments and questions come in from people, I want you to chime in and say, hey, we have a great question from so-and-so or whatever, so we can make this very, very interactive. So Kelly, I want to have you just, I think everybody knows you, but why don't we have you just quickly tell about your practice? And I know you have a lot of different businesses too, so it'd be kind of fun. This is your plug to, this is your time to
let me get all
shameless
my
plug
links
yourself.
ready. So I'm Kelly Gonsalves. I'm based in New York City. I have been in business, Totally Booked has been in business for 7 years this year. I did put it in the chat. This is my 6th scaling. And it was the first conference I ever attended. So,
and that was
and
when we
then
met.
while I was there,
That was when we
and
met
this
in person, wasn't it?
yeah, I was gonna say,
Yep.
while I was there, I won a raffle to go to QuickBooks Connect the same year. So I wound up going to both, and it was pretty cool. So I've been in business 7 years, and in that time, I have partnered with other people in the industry, made a lot of friends, thankfully, and so I've kind of spun off other businesses. One of them being an SEO company for accountants and bookkeepers. We call it more like beginner SEO so that they can get started and optimize their website. The other one that's probably most visible is Leading Lady Machine Works, where I work with Kersting.
Swag.
Yeah, Serraldo.
Super fun swag.
And we make stuff like t-shirts and mugs. We have an Etsy shop that I'll put in the chat for everybody. And then I'm also starting a nonprofit to help standardize what the bookkeeping standards should look like in our industry, so that we can also.
This one I didn't know about. That's amazing.
Yeah, ideation, think forward. I'm sure you've probably heard me mention it, but
ideation,
we want to
great.
set up what a set of books should look like, and then help actually accounting students learn about what they would be doing in real life, because a lot of times they live in a bubble when they're in school, and we want to help them understand that there are other jobs in this industry. They don't have to just go into, billable hours, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Amazing. I always learn so much when I spend a little time with you, Kelly. And I want to point out, by the way, this is why you want to work with millennials, because millennials work hard and they are serial entrepreneurs and super smart. Now, I'm not dissing any other generation, because of course I'm from a different generation, but I'm not dissing anybody. I'm just saying this is why you want to surround yourself with millennials. So Lynda, let's have you introduce yourself. I mean, there must be one person on here who doesn't know you, but maybe it's one.
Well, I think I want to adopt Kelly. So. But I'm Lynda Artesani, founder and CEO of Artesani Accounting. And actually, my business is more shifted towards the Proper Trust, which is a business that I am partnering with Sarah Prevost with. And we work mostly with mid-market law firms. We do data migration, and we also have, and also accounting services. And we also have a private group called the Accountants Law Lab, where we help teach other bookkeepers and accountants how to do legal accounting. So that's a kind of extra.
And that one's on Facebook, right? So people can join if they want to join.
We have a paid mastermind group, which is separate from that. So they're both the same name. It's a little bit confusing, but so it's a lot of fun, and love it. And I love what I do, and I love speaking and doing all the speaking engagements for everybody. It's a lot of fun. I've been doing this for 23 years in my own business. So it's been a long time. I think I'm in the same generation as you. You might be in the one below me, Allison.
We're not going to comment on that either. We're not commenting. No.
Thank you, Zoom filter. No.
Yeah, thank you, Zoom filter. Yeah. Okay, great. And then Dave, you have just recently renamed your company.
Yeah. So I started the company as the Kersting Group, and did some market analysis, and everybody thought I was this old white guy that was in like insurance or something. And so we got together and talked about it. And so Capovario became our name. Loosely translated in Italian is a diverse leader, which I'm proud to be in the gay community, and I'm proud to be diverse in everything we do with staffing and apps and workers. And what we do is we're concierge consultants first. We want to help our customers, and we want to understand what they need. And of course, we have a foundation in accounting and bookkeeping that helps us kind of answer all those questions or help them do what we need to do. I'm a few board of directors positions that I hold as well, because I want to be in the community and for the community. In addition, I'm the new community manager for Roundtable Labs, which is an awesome community to get to know each other and have a collaborative environment. And I know coming soon, you'll be announcing something else that Licia is doing, which I think is going to be great.
There's a fun thing. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I want to impress upon the audience here, if this flavor hasn't come through, is that all three of these folks are not only experts, but incredibly generous with their time. And there's this concept of giving back. So this is so wonderful for us to be able to do this webinar before we all kind of get on a plane or drive to Scaling New Heights. I do hope that all of you will come and talk with, with all of them. And if there's anything that you want to get involved with, Kelly, I was thinking you've got to be someone who can find interns for people. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I immediately went to that. Yeah.
But I always say at these events, or I mean, obviously you can reach out online, but at these events, if you see me, and I would say, I'm going to speak for Dave and Lynda as well, and Allison, but if you have a question, a comment, how did you do this thing? I will absolutely tell you how I did the thing, whatever it is. Yeah. I have no problem sharing that.
Bring it on.
So yeah, if it's something that you think I can help with, I'm putting you guys in here too. They can help with. I know for sure they're both generous with their time. Like, absolutely, just ask.
We will absolutely do it for sure. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to kick into a specific little section for each speaker. And Katie, I just want to do a quick check before we start off on Kelly. Were there any questions or comments that you feel like we should read out?
We did have a very a nice comment from Hope saying she includes a link to Licio in the signature section of all of the emails and the website. That is great.
Oh, great. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Hope. We didn't realize we had. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. All right. So if there's any comments or questions or things keep coming in, and Katie, just jump in when but I want to give the next sort of 10 minutes to 15 minutes to Kelly and really go a little bit deeper on these sorts of things. So Kelly, when you talk about treating your clients to the CEOs that they are, what do you actually mean by that?
So I think a lot of people start their businesses, or a lot of people have started their businesses as somewhat of a side hustle. And so they don't look at it always as a real business. But I try to explain that once you're in business, once you form that LLC, that corporation, et cetera, even a DBA, you doing business as, whatever that looks like, you are doing business with somebody. You are in business. You've put up a website, you're advertising, whatever that looks like, you're spending money probably. So I try to explain that it's just as important to look at, what's coming in, what's going out. And some businesses start at they only have money going out. You still have to bring that to somebody's attention. A lot of times they think it of kind of like, oh, it's a side hustle. There's a little extra change coming in. And then sometimes, that turns into a much bigger business. I had a client that started with, she had custom ordered like a curtain rod. I'm looking behind me because there's a window. She had custom ordered a curtain rod. It was the wrong size. She couldn't return it, and she put it on Etsy. It was so popular that she quite literally grew $1 million business out of it. After that, she realized
out of a curtain rod.
Wow. So she wanted this very specific material that they didn't have apparently anywhere. So she went to a manufacturer who made this curtain rod for her. Then it was like the wrong size. She had to order another one. So just to make her money back, she was like, oh, I'll put it on Etsy real quick. Like, immediately it sold. And then she had a bunch of messages saying like, when are you going to get more? How can I get this? Designers wanted it
so much. I can't
all
even
of the
stand
things. And so it was like, okay, so that was a side hustle. She never saw that turning into her full-time job. It's not even what she, went to school for. She was just like, oh, okay. I mean, I'll follow, this. And it wound up that she started creating her own line. She had to deal with overseas vendors, et cetera. But the point is, she started from this one curtain rod that she didn't think was going to turn into anything. Just let me get my money back. And in turn, it turned into this whole business. Amazing. So I try to drive it home that from day one, you are in business. You're the CEO of your business. You're in charge of your business. You're responsible for your business. So I'm going to treat you like the adult, grown up, et cetera, that you are. In this case, we're saying CEO, but really sometimes it's like, okay, well, this is your responsibility. No one is going to do it for you.
Dave, I'm watching your body language. I'm loving it. So you're loving what Kelly's saying. Do you want to comment? Do you want to, how do you guys do this? How do you?
She's just amazing. I mean, it's exactly right. And the best part of what she said is, you know, you are an adult, you own the business, and I need to treat you that way because I'm not here to handhold you to make you successful. I want us to work together as a team of professionals to get you to maintain your success.
Yeah.
It's your idea, it's your brand, it's your moment. And I think I love how Kelly treats the clients instantly as that CEO, because that almost kind of gives them that, you know, that warm and fuzzy feeling too, that they are somebody. They made it.
And I think it's tempting when your clients don't know everything that you know. It's really tempting to treat them like they're maybe, I mean, I'm going to use a word here that maybe isn't the right word, but they're idiots. And
Yes.
I think don't fall into that trap. Right. And Lynda, I can't imagine that you probably don't have this issue with your clients because they all, you know, have a law degree and they're all like, they have that recognition. But I think the types of smaller clients that people might be dealing with might have these issues where they know they're not good business people, but that's why they need you. But if you can,
exactly. We had an attorney say right to us, like, I hate numbers. I like to talk. So you need to help me. But I'm thinking back to when I was a generalist and how I had to have conversations with clients and tell them, you know, you need to pay yourself. You haven't paid yourself anything. They just work, but they never take a paycheck. I'm like, you have to pay yourself. You worked. You need to get some payment to yourself. Work hard. You should take it out of business too.
Definitely.
Or even working with the right people. Sometimes clients will come to me with all the questions that aren't for me. And thankfully, I guess being in business for the past 7 years, I've learned a lot of things, but ultimately you're going to probably have to pay, you know, a CPA as well. You're going to have to get the right people on your side. Your partner with the right people. Do your due diligence, if you will. And so sometimes, and as you mentioned, I'm a millennial. So coming from me, sometimes they're like, what? Like, and I'm like, trust me, I know what I'm saying. You have to act like a grown-up. This is your responsibility. They're not going to audit me. They're not going to come after me for back taxes, et cetera, et cetera. That's all going to be your responsibility.
It's all on you.
You should do it
so
right
without
making
them, without making them afraid, just getting them into the right habits and getting them into sort of thinking as their business is something that it really is. Yeah. So I thought that was just an amazing tip, because if any of you are currently struggling with thinking that clients are idiots, maybe reframe it a little bit and say, what are they really building here? And then have that respect for that business. And then I think that can really transform a relationship, even if it's a relationship with someone that you're kind of struggling with, or a client that maybe you're not respecting, maybe that might help. Now,
and to be fair, there's a limit to how long that can go on.
Okay.
So
yes.
Also,
And we're actually Dave is gonna cover one that about. Well, we'll get there in a minute.
They can only play dumb for so long before I'm like, hey,
yeah,
this is not going to work.
Right. And I think that's kind of where tips 2 and 3 come in, Kelly, for you.
Yeah.
Like, you're really empowering them to find what they need when they need it.
Yeah.
So explain how you kind of do that. I know you've already told everybody to use Liscio, but what do you put in there? How do you think about what they need to self-serve and what they need to see?
So typically it'll be, if they send me a tax return, I now know I just keep it because why not? They're going to probably ask for it again. But anything
where they can find
it. Anything they've sent me, I tag it to their file. Like, I want to make sure it winds up in their stuff. And then I'm putting in month-end reports, any custom reports that we've created. Sometimes it's documentation. So if there's a weird scenario where I don't have access to the bank or something, bank statements, everything is coming into there as well. But also, like, when I do a training for QuickBooks, like if I'm teaching somebody how to use QuickBooks or to do a certain thing, I put the Zoom video in there because it can handle that file size. And so they're able to just easily pull it up. They know where to go. They're not having to come back to me for questions every time. So yeah, anything like, and then I mentioned earlier, I create the document for them where it's a clickable PDF of any of the apps that we're using for them, so that they know they can find that and pull it up. And if they need to log into anything, that's going to show them, where to go. So
kind of helping them with their
any documentation that comes from us or from them is gonna remain in there.
Yeah. And when you say you bring them into their financials, so obviously there's a big benefit to them not pinging you all the time for something that you've already sent them,
Yes.
right? But are you finding they're actually reading their financials? Are they getting in there? Are they asking you questions about them, or are they finding more comfort? Or do you have sessions to set up with them? Like, how do you sort of walk them through their financials and what's going on with them?
We're probably heavier on the sessions in the beginning, especially depending on time of year. So in the very beginning, we'll go through, make sure they understand what profit and loss is, understand what their balance sheet looks like, understand why we're sending them this, let's say receivables report or payables, whatever that looks like, whatever it is. I want to make sure that they know what they're getting. And then as they become more comfortable with it, we're not having to meet as often, but there's always a link to my calendar in there if they want to schedule time. So if it's something where they're, curious, they don't understand a number, there's a red flag for them that they, why is this here and not there, whatever that might be. I make sure that they're able to schedule an appointment and then, ask me about it. And then at the end of the year, obviously we're meeting more to make sure that we're closing everything out, 1099s, et cetera. But all of those go in there too. 1099s, W9s, they're all in there. But yeah, so it kind of ebbs and flows time of the year, I would say, how much we speak.
Lynda, how about you? Do you also do this sort of explanation of the financials, or do you find that your clients are sophisticated and kind of understand it?
No, we absolutely do.
Take them through it.
Yeah. And we also ask for the tax shrinks. We book we book the taxes return and align it to the book. So, and having it there, and that's the whole point. Like I'm asking for it and getting it in a secure place. Yeah. And we really, really pride our firm on the fact that we really stick with security and keep that to the highest level, because we don't want anybody's unsecure data going out there. It's really a bad practice. So, and a lot of the law firms, ironically, they've been hit by hacking and all of that, and they know the pain of that. So, or ransomware even. So to have that, you start your relationship off with that being inside of SEO, we're able to securely store it and then tag it. You tag it to tax returns, so it's easy to find. So
they can find it. Yeah, Dave, how about you? What would you add to this? Are there certain things that you're doing or doing differently on Kelly's tips?
I think I'm right in line with what Kelly does. I believe, again, it's dumbing down the financials, dumbing down, what they need to understand, and making sure that they know what we're doing. We're not just behind the scenes putting all these numbers all over the
making it accessible to them.
Giving them power and access.
Yeah. And then I think the tools, Kelly, you mentioned you have different apps that you have them use, and you make sure that they understand how to use them. But you really focus on the tools designed with their needs in mind.
Right.
And that's a little shift for some people, because a lot of times they'll pick tools that work for the firm, but don't necessarily work for the client.
Well, I want them to work for both. I will say that I'm not going to choose, if we use a specific app for, let's say, connecting QuickBooks to Etsy, we're using a specific app and they're like, oh, I really want to use this one, and I have 10 people on this one. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, no problem, we're going to detour over here.
No, you vetted it, but you vetted that one. See, this is where you got to put a little caveat.
It's a little different.
I vetted this one. It shows it because
it's I had a client once that said, well, I'm the boss and I want to do this, and I said, well, you're the boss of your business, absolutely. I'm the boss of this business, and since we're the one that's doing the work for you, we're going in this direction, and I'm happy to help you find somebody else if you'd like to go elsewhere, because it just wasn't an option. There was no way I was going to change my whole payables process for the one app that they wanted to use. If it's a special case, let's say it's a marketplace I've never connected to, and there's this one app, then that's a whole different story. But if I have everyone in this bucket and you're asking to be in this bucket by yourself.
But when you chose that bucket, you actually chose it very, very purposefully. Like you had a lot of so the
it likely exceeds the features that they're looking for. And so I'm like, what's your checklist? Okay, we've done all of those. Is there anything else? Because it also does all these other things, and it's included in your rate. Oh, okay, well, all right. Once I say that, all right, never mind.
Katie, let's visit the chat and see if there's any questions there. Is there anything that anybody wants to ask Kelly?
I think most of it is everyone's really excited for scaling.
Oh, that's excellent. Are we just having a chitty chat in there? Are we just chatting about scaling? Okay, that's very cool, people. Keep it up. I'm not sharing it because I think what happens is if I share, it shows up on screen and then it's like, it messes the whole thing up. So Okay, so no questions. That's great. Kelly, thank you. That was really awesome. Now, Dave, let's switch over to you because I wanted to focus with you on just how to have a good day. And it feels like you are kind of the poster child for having a really awesome day. Now, I might be wrong, but I feel like Dave's days are pretty good. So
I would agree with you. I am just I wake up smiling. I go to bed smiling. I want my team to smile all the time, and I have the pleasure of getting to work with people like you, Allison, and all of the Keeper and Licio and Melio members that are just every time I talk with them, they're just super excited and happy for their days. I think the most important thing is, starting your day off right. Everybody has their regimen. It might be coffee or a Starbucks or the gym or just sleeping in. I don't know what everybody does. But for me, it's get up and know that today I can be happy and I get to control that and nobody can take it away. And I think I do that through use of the software to make sure that I'm starting my day organized and comfortable. And when you're organized and comfortable, you're happy. It gets rid of all that noise that's around you. And that just moves your day into even more success.
Yeah, I was thinking of it as like the mental load. Like if you don't have a system to really organize what's coming at it, all of you have way more clients than you have you.
Yes.
Well, think about it, right? Right? Like this is one of you, and maybe you might be serving 100 clients, right? Or maybe less, maybe more. But the point is that you're all serving multiples of people, and they're all different humans and different types of personalities and different time, when they like to communicate and how they like to communicate. And so there was that chaos and overload. Dave, you said it was actually causing you like really sleepless nights when we talked when we first met, that you were just like not being able to sleep.
Oh,
So
anxiety.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep. I mean, I was so worried that did I check that email or was it in somewhere? It wasn't in Slack. Where was it? Did I finish it? Did I not finish it? Did my team finish it? Where am I at? And I think that, again, bringing it down and finally making that decision that says, the number one software that my company uses is Licio. Why is that? Because Licio connects me to everything that I need to be connected to.
Yeah.
I use other apps like Keeper and Teams and obviously QuickBooks Online, to do internal communication. But overall reduce chaos, overall reduce my clients' chaos.
Yeah.
Is also most important.
Yeah. And so I think solve a lot of problems for them as well. Like, getting that document to you securely, or we haven't talked about a scanner, having a scanner in your hand, right? And the big files that Kelly talked about earlier, those big files can come over. They're huge files. They can be up to 5 gigabytes. So you're no longer having to go to a different system for that. So yeah.
You feel more organized too. I think back to when I was using my Google Drive, that never was organized. Everything was at the bottom. I had all these file folders, but nothing ever landed in there.
Didn't you say that when you created a folder in Google, it was where an email went to die?
It's where an email went to die.
Did you tell them? Yeah, I laughed about that. I found myself creating some folders, and then I thought, oh no, that's where an email goes to die. I heard your voice.
Because you never
come out.
Fun.
I really don't, but nobody ever looks. So Dave, let's talk about the second bullet point, because you have a concierge practice. So this means that your offerings are much broader than most people. So how did you kind of get clear about what you really love to do?
Ultimately, I love to connect dots. I love to connect people. I love to solve problems. And that's my true passion. I'm a great accountant and I love doing bookkeeping. I mean, I love cleanups. I love all the stuff that people don't like. I mean, workman's comp audits, send them my way. They're my favorite thing to do. But at the end of the day, connecting people, connecting the dots. And so I had to understand that in order to do that, I had to offer things that other firms didn't offer. And that could be the full range. I mean, literally, there isn't something you can't ask me that I won't figure out how to do.
Yeah. And so for you, that driving force, and I think this is the case for most of us on this call, is we want to help our clients.
Yes.
Isn't that the reason we all went into the the profession.
Yeah.
You want to help your clients. So you do want to set up your day so that you get to do more of that and less of everything that you don't love. And I know some of the things are, you mentioned, I don't love having to have everything in my head. I don't love having to have too many places to look. Kelly mentioned earlier, I don't love having to resend things I've already sent them.
Yes.
Lynda definitely doesn't love when people send things by text. I know, Lynda, for you, that's like,
I look at it and then I forget about it. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
that's right. You sent that a text 3 weeks ago.
I
Right, we
use
haven't-
text so much for my personal that if somebody
Right.
from like a work related, business related something or other comes in, it's going to get filtered down and I'm not going to get back to it. There's no way.
No, it's not actionable either. So when you're looking, I'm just sort of addressing the audience here. When you're looking at how you communicate with your clients and how you communicate with your team, really consider a less is more approach, because the more avenues that you have, the more it takes you off doing things that you love to do and becomes more of this pressure and drudgery. It's just too much to wade through. Now, Dave, number 3, so looking at the service offerings and then broadening or narrowing them, what advice would you give to the audience about that?
I think that, when we talk about the number 2 item where you got to be clear on what you love, that kind of helps you decide what you're going to do in your service offerings. I expanded what I offer because of the connecting of dots. Doesn't mean that I'm always doing the work, but I'm bringing people together to get the work done. And I'm narrowing some of my, some of the things that we do, because I'm like, hey, we're really good in construction and job costing. We're going to stay focused on that area, as much as we can, while still offering these other options.
So if a nonprofit came along, you might maybe think about it and say, we'd love to help, but maybe we'll send that over to Megan, or
correct.
a legal firm, you might send over to Lynda.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like what Kelly was talking about with her different businesses. She has multiple businesses. That's awesome. That's kind of what I'm doing too, but I'm just all in one name and I'm just offering these different services. And she said, hey, I love this and I'm going to brand this. And I think that's when you consider your offerings. That's where she was smart, is this vertical is for this reason. And that's what I enjoy to hear.
Yeah. Kelly, do you want to comment on that? Because I think some people do want it all in one, and then some people do want it separately. So why did you sort of think, how did you come to that sort of idea of, I want to create these separately?
They're all pretty different. Like if they were all accounting services under one roof, it would make sense. But there's some are serving clients and then some are serving accountants.
Yeah.
And then some are like Meeting Ladies is more creative. And so, the link is in my email reply. So sometimes clients are like, oh my God, you have an Etsy shop. That's so cool. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot that was in there. But part of it also is I have business partners. And so it's not really fair if I'm just like, nope, it's all going to be totally booked, like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. So it does allow you to work with different people. So Dave, when you look at your client list, I took this from this comment from, I don't know, it was an interview you made a while back, but not all clients are good clients. How do you decide who's a good client and who's not?
I think ultimately it comes down to you as the owner and your team, and not every client needs to be a fit. I mean, there's some that you try to make them fit within what you're doing, or you've changed, or maybe the workload is high and what they can afford is low, or what they want to pay is low, or they just no longer fit in your culture. Or like Kelly said on the last one, and I know Lynda said it too, about the use of my apps versus the use of their apps. Maybe that, hey, you really want that app, it's just not in my ballpark. Like, let me find you somebody that.
Because Lynda, go for it. I knew you wanted to say something there.
I use the gauge. If they call me and I don't want to answer, I look and go,
oh, the cringe.
I go 1 to 5, and if I have that feeling, I just know that it's time for us to part ways. Sadly, I mean, it happens though. It's part of business.
Yeah, it's tricky when you really love someone as a human.
Yeah,
and they're really difficult to work with as a business person. I think that's kind of tricky, but all of you should feel empowered. And this is something that you can go deep on at Scaling New Heights, about understanding, your client base and really taking a look at which ones you really should consider letting go in order to free up more energy and space for the people that are really going to feed you and get that good energy going.
Yeah. And if you look at it, Allison, in the chat, Bernadette put in, that Joe Woodard says you have to know how to get them in the front door, but you have to know when to show them the back door, when to get them
show them the
out,
back door.
I love
when
that.
to be done. And I think that, Lynda said it, if you're cringing, then they're probably not working for you.
That's a backdoor client.
It's not just me either. I mean, we have teams, we have employees, we have people that are working for us that might be having those, I'll call them creepy moments. It's time to, look at those and evaluate.
I
Kelly,
learned
you
a lot
wanted
of
to,
that.
you wanted to make a comment, Kelly.
I learned a lot of that my first scaling. When I went to that first conference, I was still, using desktop only. I was literally taking the train. So New York City, right? I was taking the train to and from clients. I was hopping around, seeing sometimes 3 clients in a day. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I met all these people that are like, oh yeah, you can go online and you can use these apps and you can change this and you can change that. You don't have to take the clients that you don't want to work with. You don't have to deal with the people.
And you were like, wait, that's an option?
Like, what? I know Joe came home within the next month. So it's always in June, right? In July, I changed all my systems. I told everyone I was going online. I told the clients that didn't want to, the clients that I didn't want to work with anymore, I should say, that we were changing our ways and we would help them find someone else. I doubled my income in the second half of that year.
Yeah.
Because
so it's a great case study of getting really serious on what you want to do and who you want to work with. Absolutely. And how you want to work with them.
Yeah.
So Lynda, we've moved into your little area here, and you got some really great tips as a real niche practice owner and partner, and then some of the power moves that you have. So can you walk us through a couple of just pick and choose what you want to start on this slide?
Yeah, I want to shout to the sky that if you're doing accounting work, I was a generalist for a very long time. And when I decided at a conference, I had all these messages coming to me that you should, specialize. And I kind of discounted it at first. And then I was like, it kind of planted a seed. And that's what happens at these conferences, whether it's at the table at lunch or in a session. This was in a session, trying to think of who it was with. And it was like, oh, I should probably do this. And then once I did it, it was the best business decision I've ever made. Out of all these years I've been doing this, best business decision, because once I started to work towards the niche, and it takes time, it's not like tomorrow you flip the switch. But once you do that, you really get to study it and you become the expert. And the best part about becoming the expert is people start to come to you for that. So you have to get rid of all your clients that you have now. That was one of my big fears. Like, do I have to get rid of everything? Everybody that I have to just say goodbye to everybody because, oh, you're a contractor. No, I still have legacy clients that I still have.
But they're the ones that you wanted to keep. They're the nice ones, right? Not the backdoor clients.
No,
they're the front door clients. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, it was, it took time to become the expert. I did a lot of studying. I was also worried that I was going to get bored. I'm like, am I going to get really bored? But not even thinking about, okay, the legal industry, how many practice areas are there? There's multiple. I mean, immigration and estate plan. That alone can keep you really busy. You can even micro niche down into something like that, which there are some people that do that. So the ability to do that, but for the way that technology is kind of moving forward. And I just listened last night to the roadmap of Listio, and I was like, whoa. So if you haven't heard that one, you should really, I was blown away by that. So if you think about that in respect to your accounting software, and then it makes you, I'm actually writing a book right now, and it made me go back in time to the beginning before, when I first started doing this work back in 1999-ish, and where I was then, where my big technology was the paymaster, right? You had to put the check in and embed it with, you emboss it. That was technology back then, right? So when you think about that, and it kind of moves slowly, and now it's like super fast. It's like my Tesla, it's going, it seems like it's that way. But when you look at technology starting to automate a lot of this stuff, how are you going to survive in this industry? I might be able to ride it out at my age, but I want to keep working, so I'm not leaving. But if you think about it, if technology is going to start to automate easy, simple clients that I had, I hung my hat on these write-up clients. If I stayed there, I'd be lost in the world of, there's plenty of businesses that do this, that are automation, bookkeeping services. So to be able to survive.
You up-leveled, and also, and thrive, and really you're thriving. So you're not just surviving, you're thriving.
100%.
So tell us about your security waiver for clients? Because you've mentioned security a couple of times on this, and so security is super important, isn't it? Like you can't expose your
Oh,
firm
I can,
to,
right.
yeah, that would be one thing that might have kept Dave up at
So
night, you
my
know,
security
is it
waiver,
secure, right?
my security waiver is a little bit of a joke. So making the transition from being on email and all these different ways of connecting with clients to saying, okay, it's just like when I told people, like Kelly just said, taking you off a desktop, moving on to online, you just come with me or you go find, here's somebody else that'll help you. So the same kind of a way I set, this is the only way I could do it. I set my foot down and I said, look, this is what I'm doing. And I'm doing it to benefit you. And the reasons why, and we're investing in it as a firm. So we're doing this to protect you. And that's with the legacy clients. So I had one client out of, I think, 35 that said, I don't want another app. And I tried to explain about the app on the
Now,
phone.
this is when you were moving to Lisio years ago.
When I was moving,
right? Yeah.
right. And I said, look, then you have to sign the security waiver. I had no security waiver. I completely made that up because, and he was
to
like,
a lawyer. She's saying
Yeah.
this to a lawyer.
and I'm like, I was going to have to make one. I was probably going to have to go to the Google and
They
say,
bluff
hey,
all the time. I'm sure they bluff all the time. So
oh, exactly. Bluff. I like that. Instead of lie, that's better. But yeah, so I just, and he was like, you want me to sign something? I said, yeah, because I'm offering to protect you and you're offering to be back and forth in email. I said, not for nothing, but if you send me one more employee packet on an email with their security and their license and everything else, I can't do this anymore. I will sleep over, somebody's information could be hacked. So that's my security waiver story. I don't actually have one.
I'm not signing that.
No, exactly.
She's like, well, then you use this.
You
use my clunky portal or you use Lisio. Those are your choices, right?
He totally, I think he was just having a bad day because he's a great person. And he's like, we communicate, he communicates with my staff there. I got an accounting team.
And now he's on board.
So that's kind of my story. But and then having that one place for communication. So having a way that you can communicate in one space, they know to go to it. And then once you're bringing on new clients, we start with an NDA. And the next step is Lisio. And we let them know that.
And you do the onboarding through, the onboarding on all the documents and everything. And then it all lives there, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep. And it's all templated. It's all templated. Yep. So it's, for me, it's a repeatable process and it makes it super, super easy.
Yeah. And then in your quarterly reviews that you do with clients, do you review everything quarterly for your firm and you see whether anything needs to change, but do you also expand that out to your clients and do that review with them if anything needs to change?
It depends on the firm. The larger the firm, we're more likely to do monthly reviews and financial strategy meetings. That's the other part of I hadn't really thought about when I started to do the niche thing. I was actually, the first thing I thought of was I can charge more doing the same thing. That was my goal at the beginning. And yes, that is part of it, but I didn't realize that all the schooling and all the knowledge of everything I've learned over the years that I wasn't using doing data entry manually, right? And then I got to be able to be a CFO, like Sarah and I, CFO services. And we come to clients, they don't even realize you do it. And then you sit with them and they're like, oh, you help me with this? Yeah, it's incredible. And it's kind of fun because we're running into a lot of clients there's a lot of poaching of employees and we're trying to help them through the struggle of the employees are getting offers from other clients and from other vendors, other competitors that are trying to take their clients. And how can you make your employee happy? And what can you do? You might have to elevate their pay. You might have to do other perks, help them. One of the things we talked about today was, how can you help them keep the employee that you really need and you really admire and you really love. And sometimes it's just a matter of taking time to talk to them and ask them what are their goals and then say, okay, here's your goals for going forward in the future. And this is your goals. So I'm going to help you map that out and I'll help you with maybe some.
I'm going to help you grow. Right. I'm going to help you grow because a lot of people don't usually leave because of salary.
Right.
They usually leave because of bad managers.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. And so it's and they don't even leave because the work is hard. They leave because they're not getting that growth. And that's particularly true for millennials because they need frequent check-ins and they need to know that they're changing the world. Right, Dave? You're nodding. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. People leave people, they don't leave businesses.
That's right.
Right. That's true.
So I just wanted to quickly sort of wrap up how tech can help is if you are having some of these challenges that Kelly and Dave and Lynda have mentioned and that we've talked about before, you really do want to consider bringing everything into one quiet place. Make sure it's secure, make sure you and your team and your staff can collaborate. And by doing that, you actually are removing a lot of the mental load and the lift off of your team, and you can really focus on that joyful work. And that's helping your clients be more successful. So that's kind of the one of the messages that we wanted to bring in. Now I want to quickly hit this one because these are practical steps also that can help you focus. And if you're using Slack, Teams, and social media and a lot of other channels, turn off your alerts. Do it today. Turn off the sound, turn off the alerts, and leave them on only for direct mentions. And a direct mention, you can train your team to say @Allison, and then it pings up, "Hey, Allison, I really need you." But train your team to think twice before sending that message. Can it wait? A lot of times it can. And the way that you signal that you need to be not bothered is you turn on these focus time settings. So if you have Google, you can actually say focus time. So before I go and I look at my team or bother them, I look at their calendar. And if they've got focus time, then I think, can this wait? Can I pull them off of that? Should I pull them off of that? Right? Some other things are taking breaks and move. Or taking a walking meeting when you're having your team meetings. Get everybody out there walking. The only thing you have to bring is a little notebook with you or some way to capture what you're doing. And you want to reciprocate these behaviors with others. So you ask your team to do this, but you also do it with them. And also with clients. So for example, if I'm going to send an email to someone and I have decided that email is the right vehicle, I use the scheduling feature so that they get it in the morning their time. They don't get it at night my time, right? And then use the secure software designed to streamline communications. And do come and talk to Licio, because at Scaling New Heights, we can show this all to you in action. So your action plan, create a new loop. This is how Licio does this. I'm going to fly through this slide. It basically is a circle of goodness that you are going to get out of the drudgery of sort of having to remind people, chase people, look for things. It'll all be in the same place, and tech will help you. Join the community. We have a new community we're launching. It's called the Accountants and Bookkeepers Cooperative. You can learn about it at Scaling New Heights. And this is basically a how-to community. It is very different. It's basically come in and learn about all these different things that you actually need, like an actual roadmap, an actual how-to guide for. And then maximize your own Scaling New Heights experience. And you're going to want to make a list of the agenda, the exhibitors, and a connection list. And
also bring a water bottle.
Oh, and comfortable shoes.
And snacks and comfortable shoes.
Don't forget the shoes.
Comfortable shoes. Yes.
Very
and
important.
I personally will be wearing a mask, and I'm going to ask everybody to forgive me. I'm not making everybody else wear a mask, but I will be wearing one because I have a lot of conferences to go to this summer. And I can't afford to have a Dave Kersting attack that take me out for a month.
Exactly. And everybody should be respectful. And I think if you are uncomfortable, but wear it. If you're not uncomfortable and you still want to wear it to show support to others, I think that's important.
You do you. I think the whole thing is you do you. Yeah. So we're at time, everybody, but I want to thank everyone. This was jam-packed. I hope this was really useful to you. I hope you picked up a couple of tips here that will help you maximize your scaling experience, help you really think about some areas that you might want to explore, and some tips that can really help you thrive. So thank you, Lynda. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Yeah. Thank you, Ardell. And thank you to all of you for attending.
And we'll see you all soon.
And we'll see you soon. Oh my gosh. We will see you really, really soon.
Yeah.
So Katie, if you could go ahead and end the webinar now. I just want to thank everybody. And as I said, we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.